Jambo everyone, welcome to Fabz TV show. It's the only show online which normal features embassy editions, county editions, and also Minister of Tourism of countries. And it is a weekly episode which give you good vibes about Africa tourism and also tourism beyond Africa and wildlife, plus the investment and trade. So I'm the host of Fabz TV, Mr. Fabian Mtinda, and before we start the show, I will want our special guest to introduce himself, and then we can take it from there. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Let me say first and foremost, good morning, all of you this morning, for coming here and have an interview with me. My name is Mnenwa Johannes Mahlangu, the High Commissioner of South Africa to Kenya. We are welcoming you as a mission of South Africa to do this interview because we want to spread a good message between the two countries, South Africa and Kenya, and make sure that the bilateral relationship is growing stronger and stronger on daily basis, because it's through that strong bilaterals that makes the country to progress in their working. So you are most welcome. Be at home, relax, be free.
Thank you so much. Before we start the show, we'll acknowledge our main sponsor, who are the Kose Group. And the Kose Group, they normally deal with both locals and international tourism trips in Kenya, in Africa, and other parts of this world. So welcome to the show, and before we start, let's go for the commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Africa. Safari trip? Book your once-in-a-lifetime holiday experience with AfriGem Safaris. Amazing landscapes, stunning wildlife, Africa safaris, tropical beaches, vibrant cities, and a fascinating culture and people. The African continent has it all. And what's more, where most parts of the world have been visited by millions already, many parts of Africa are still uncharted territory. Think dust roads, internet-free zones, mud houses, traditional tribes, and miles of untamed nature. This makes the continent an adventurous place to travel to. At the same time, the national parks and lodges are completely up to date with delicious foods, comfortable beds, and Wi-Fi and Africa Safari with AfriGems. Safaris, therefore, is a once-in-a-lifetime holiday. Kenya especially is heaven on earth for nature lovers. See you soon. Let us show the rest of the world hidden gems in Africa through AfriGem Safaris. 54 countries, one continent awaiting you to explore.
Okay, welcome back to the show. I have a couple of questions for our audience who are in Kenya, out of Kenya, and different parts of this world. We'll want them to know more about this country, beautiful country called South Africa. What is the nickname of the South Africa? You normally call South Africa?
Mzansi.
Mzansi. Oh.
Mzansi.
Muzansi.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
South.
South.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You have heard that. So I have a question I can start asking you, and then we proceed.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. South Africa is a visa-free for Kenya. What are the benefits of this incentive, and how has it positively impacted tourism in South Africa?
Maybe let me start by saying that the beginning of the talks between South Africa and Kenya on the 90 days visa-free travel to South Africa has been concluded. Last year by the visit of my president, Cyril Ramaphosa. It was a working visit in Kenya where he met with the president of Kenya, President Ruto, and they discussed the issue of the 90 days free visa travel to South Africa or for the tourist. And the two principals have agreed, and my president has then granted Kenya the status of traveling 90 days a year to South Africa, which we all agree it was a wonderful thing to do. And I think the Kenyans are feeling very great today. And they've actually, many of them said it to me, that South Africa has done a very good thing. So now they can enjoy, and they are enjoying traveling at least for that 90 days a year free to South Africa. Now we've been marketing this since January, and it has proved to be making good progress, and it's doing very, very well. The impact you've been asking about, we have seen the increase of the numbers since the introduction of the 90 days visa free to South Africa. The numbers have increased to 118% to South Africa from Kenya, which to us is a very great improvement.
Oh, that's awesome. In comparison to other African countries, what unique tourist attraction does South Africa have to offer? What sets South Africa apart as must-visit destination?
Well, South Africa is a very vibrant, diverse cultural country. That is one thing we should notice. And it's got a very rich culture. I mean, rich history as well. It has got a rich beauty, very beautiful country. And it's a unique, it has got a unique talent, and it has got a very, very, very great musicians that you would meet in South Africa. For an example, the Kenyans like amapiano very much.
Yes.
You would be aware of that, and it's trending, not just in Kenya, but on the continent.
Yes.
As a whole. And therefore, South Africa, its beauty across the continent attracts a lot of people to visit in South Africa. But also, secondly, South Africa would offer you the value for money. When you go to South Africa, it's accessible. Very shortly, in 4 hours, you are in South Africa on a flight, and there are there's sufficient travel flights to South Africa. KQ, we've got about 4 a day, so you can go and come back if you wish. If you are a business person, if you are a tourist, you can travel at any time. But also, when you come to South Africa, it doesn't matter whether you go to a township called Kailija, or you go to Soweto, or you go to the cities of Cape Town, Johannesburg, Pretoria. You will find very, very warm people in South Africa that will welcome you, because that's just the nature of how South Africans are.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Are there any specific investment opportunity that Kenyans can explore within tourism sector in South Africa?
The tourism sector is a very vast industry, and therefore people who frequently visit South Africa will definitely be able to find some opportunity to invest in the tourism sector. If we want to divide it and split it, a lot of people can invest in transport. A lot of people can invest in accommodation. That's hotels and B&Bs. A lot of people can invest in culinary. A lot of people can invest, for an example, also in all issues of hospitality, whether you call them restaurant and so on. So there are opportunities in South Africa for investing all in those. But let me take this opportunity to say that next year, 2024, there's a tourism Indaba or tourism summit in Cape Town that will take place from the 10th April to the 12th April.
Oh.
And I wish to invite all the Kenyans and all other people throughout the world, if they want to visit this. We hold it every year, actually. They can go to South Africa and they will get more opportunities that will be explained to them by the owner of the summit.
Okay, all right. Could you please elaborate on incentives available for investors in the tourism industry and how they contribute to fostering growth and development?
Yes, we as a government in 2015 and 2016, we introduced actually some few programs that would incentivize the tourism industry. And I can just divide them into three because they work very well so far. We call them the market access. We incentivize the market access people to access our markets and also market our tourist industry in South Africa, and also the tourist grading. You know that when you enter the sector, you've got to be graded because we want a perfect visit for the tourists that visit our country. Like you would, for an example, grade people like 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star, because people have got, when they visit South Africa and go back, they should say, we've been well taken for. And the other support system that we give or incentives in the green tourism that we really encourage that people should look into. So they get incentive on that. So South Africa would incentivize all those because we want all the people who reach South Africa as a destination for tourism to enjoy their stay in South Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
How could you rank South Africa tourism sector within Africa? What strategies are being implemented to enhance South African position as leading tourism destination?
Just to sum it, let me start by saying we've realized, let me take the continental figures. If we look Africa, for an example, 2022, we have received 46.53 million people on the whole continent. That tells you that the continent as a whole does attract tourists to come to the continent. But for South Africa, out of that total number, we have received 5.7 million, which accounts for about 12.3% of the people that visit South Africa on the continent. And South Africa came, after 22, came number 4 after Morocco. And then it follows Tunisia, and then follows Egypt at 12.3%. And therefore, if you read those numbers, you can be in a position to see that South Africa, sitting today at 12.3%, it is chasing or sharing in the big number that it has been doing pre-COVID, which was 14% or 14.8%. So I would say that the trend in South Africa of the tourists is still very good.
South Africa is the first African host of FIFA World Cup in 2010. How did tourism benefit from this? What were the lessons learned?
Oh, this was a really a wonderful thing to do as a country, and we are proud that we were the first African country to host the World Cup. Genuinely, a lot of people toured South Africa. I can give you figures as a taste. This World Cup destination, hosting the World Cup in 2010, attracted a number of 554,000 people that visited South Africa. That's a big number. And out of that number, we have seen actually 38% of the tourists came from the continent itself, which is very, very, very encouraging. And that's very praiseworthy. And it was followed by 24% that came from Europe, and it was followed by 13% that came from Central and South America, and it was followed by 11% from North America. And these are the statistics which are registered in the Department of Tourism. Now, if you look at those figures furthermore, it will tell you that in terms of money, South Africa has benefited a lot out of all in the tourism sector because the country could make 3.6 billion out of the number of the tourists that visited the World Cup hosted by South Africa in 2010.
So it is the entire country, or it is specific provinces which hosted the World Cup, like the stadiums which the World Cup was taking place, benefited more than the other parts which they never host?
We spread our hosting in all the provinces because we have built the stadiums in all
Provinces.
the provinces. We built in KZN, we built in Mpumalanga, we built in Johannesburg. I think the only provinces that didn't have big stadium to host were one or two, but all of them have had stadiums where people would go, even not just for playing finals, but to practice there. We covered all the provinces so that people could go and play and entertain the people and see the football. That is not a South African football only, but also international football played in those provinces.
Okay, all right. What are the key challenges currently facing tourism in South Africa, and how is the Ministry of Tourism addressing and mitigating these challenges?
The minister has identified some challenges which the department is addressing currently. One challenge that she has identified was a shortage of the airlines in the tourism sector and the cost of those airlines coming through carrying the people. And therefore what she decided, and the department together with the government, they then established what we call the National Tourism Airlift Capacity Coordinating Mechanism. In other words, this coordinating mechanism, one, its job was to put the coordinating mechanism is constructed or established by the partnerships of the South African tourism industry, one, and secondly the airport company of South Africa and the provincial air structures. Now their duty is actually together to increase the access and also show the adequate airlifting of various tourism markets, so that no one works as an island and no one works individually, but they can all together look at how they increase the spread of airlines within the country, the price fares, and the moving of the people within the country. That will make things easier for them. That is point number one. But also the department is working with the Department of Home Affairs to fast track and to make sure that the e-visa is working properly in the country, so that we don't delay people at the airports. They digitalize all the movements of the people. It's a press of the button. The people come at the entry point and they leave at the same time. So the e-visa is another thing that improves the traveling of the people. And the last word, of course, is the most important one, also the safety and security of the people. We secure our tourists. When we identify the hotspots that they want to visit, we give them security through the deployment of the trained ordinary South Africans, which came to a number of about 2,225, joined by the police, to guard on all those tourists to make sure that their visit and their stay in South Africa is free of any criminality.
Could you provide insights into how South Africa rich culture incorporated into the tourism sector? What initiatives are being taken to promote cultural tourism?
Well, the first thing, let me just indicate that South Africa, of course, is driven, 50% of it is driven by cultural heritage and also cultural tourism, 50% of it. That's why people like to visit South Africa. And we showcase this, for example, in a form of arts, in a form of crafts, in the form of festivals, oral history, storytelling, folklore, archaeological remains, paleontological also evidence, and geological formations. These are the issues that when people come to South Africa, we'll base ourselves on. It doesn't matter from which country you come from, but you will learn much on this. But we've got also a national strategy on heritage and cultural tourism that will guide the people when they come into the country, what to do and what to see. The strategy also provides, of course, a framework of coordinating the integration of heritage and culture into the mainstream of tourism. Therefore, it guides the people as they come. And we've got also tourist information centers that the people can visit, and they can go to the website of the Department of Tourism and they will find all that information. But also the most important thing I want to mention, I don't want to forget this one. Just for an example, South Africa has mobilized recently in the East Africa, the whole East Africa, not just Kenya, with a well-known musician called Shoba Josie, into the culture which it too operates into their tastemaker who surrounds the whole East Africa to promote our culture as South Africa. So that's an interesting point where we begin to say, let's think above cross-cultural issues and break that barrier of saying this is just my culture, I don't want to learn other people's culture. Yes.
You know, when talks about culture, what comes to their minds is Zulu. They say Zulu. In these cultural festives which you have, do you have them countrywide, or it is a specific tribe which is showcasing their culture?
South Africa has got different tribes, but I can just mention the main ones that will come to your mind now. We've got the Zulu tribe, we've got the Xhosa tribe, we've got the Ndebele tribe, we've got the Siswati tribe, we've got the Tsonga tribe, we've got, I hope I'm not forgetting others, they will fight with me. And, but
I hope they won't.
So we have basically 11 languages that are official in terms of our constitution, and we have just recently passed another language. Parliament passed another language into law, that is the sign language. So we've got 12 official languages right now. So when we celebrate our culture, like the Heritage Day now, we celebrate it in different ways. People comes at one place in different cultures, and people goes into different provinces. For an example, Limpopo will do its own cultural things, Mpumalanga, KwaZulu, Eastern Cape, where you find a lot of Xhosa speaking people. In Mpumalanga you find the Ndebeles, the Sothos, and so on, the Tsongas up north, and the Vendas also up north. So they celebrate those things together as a main and differently also. Yes.
September is declared Heritage Month, and the 24th of September is Heritage Day in South Africa.
Yes.
What is the significance of the month and Heritage Day. How is this used to promote tourism? The theme of this year Heritage Day celebration is celebrating our cultural diversity in democratic South Africa. What informed the choice of the theme? How does it boost tourism by local and international tourists?
Well, let me start by saying September is also a very great month to us. Although we've chosen one day to celebrate our heritage in South Africa, but we celebrate the whole month. So there are different activities that takes place in different provinces, and also on the 24th then it's a national day where the president would normally address people at one center, but provinces also goes to their different provinces or counties like we call them in Kenya to do their own provincial Heritage Day. Now this recognizes and celebrates, of course, the cultural wealth that we are having in South Africa. We don't want to forget that. South Africans during this day are remembering their different cultures, the diversity of cultures that we are having, that is made by the different populations of South Africa, as I have already mentioned. Now various events of course take place in different places and at central place as well. Now also the second thing is that September is remembered because it's a spring day. It's the beginning of spring in South Africa.
Oh, all right.
The beginning of a warm season. The flower blossoms, the trees blossoms, the beauty of the country, the green sceneries in the country comes out. It's starting to glow from the grey grass that you used to see in winter. That's where you can come and explore, and it's warm that time. People can visit South Africa because the nice climate that they will find, the beautiful cliffs that you will find, the beautiful range of mountains like Ukahlamba Mountains that you will find in there, the beautiful seas, oceans that we have. South Africa has got two oceans. It has got Indian Ocean in the east and the Atlantic Ocean in the west. And you will see all these exhilarating and majestic range of rivers. That's the Orange River and the Vaal River, which are very beautiful sceneries during that time, and you will enjoy staying in South Africa during this month of September when you go to South Africa. So that has got very great impact on the tourist sector, because this is the time that the tourist flows to South Africa and the benefit becomes great, and the margins of value of money that the people spend there, it's really to a high enjoyable state.
Okay. As the tourism sector in South Africa recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic, could you share the measure and strategies that were implemented to revive the industry?
We are still recovering from the industry. We have seen that through the figures that we have now, but we have not recovered completely. As you are aware that the pandemic has hit everybody, not just in South Africa, but internationally, and we have to work with other people also. As their tourism industries are shaping up, we also have to shape up. But the government of South Africa has introduced what we call the tourism recovery strategy. For an example, it highlights the need to perform better after COVID-19. So what we have done, we had to divide in that strategy, divide it into three. One, the domestic tourism, and two, the regional tourism. That is basically what it means, the African markets. And that would then include also international market, which is the third one. So it's very important that you build your local tourism, and you build your regional, and you build your international. So the strategy focuses on that, and it has shown to us that it works, and the figures are brilliantly coming up, and we are satisfied. But we are rigorously and even coming with new innovations where we host road shows to promote our tourism in South Africa. We'll be having one now in September in Nairobi. So we'll give you the exact date when we're going to have this, so that you can come and observe yourself.
All right.
The DG of the Department of Tourism is coming to launch that road show of tourism in Kenya.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
We would greatly appreciate it if you could provide more information on the current bilateral trade agreement between Kenya and South Africa, particularly as it relates to tourism and investment opportunities.
Let me say, Kenya at the moment has got the highest and cordial relationship that we can observe between Kenya, between itself and South Africa. At the highest level, I mean that you would recognize that in 2021, the former president visited South Africa on a working visit with my president, Cyril Ramaphosa. 2022, President Ruto invited President Cyril Ramaphosa to do a working visit in Kenya, and President Ramaphosa was here for the memorial service of the late President Kibaki, and our Deputy President was here during the inauguration of President Ruto. And again, my president has already invited President Ruto for a working visit next year. And November this year, my minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor, has invited Dr. Mutua this November for a bilateral discussion on joint, on JCC, that we call it Joint Cooperation Commission, to go and discuss bilateral issues. Now, we have signed in 2021, in 2022, a memorandum of understanding together with Kenya on all the important and common issues that we want to look at and promote under tourism. And we have also formed what we call the Joint Technical Committee to monitor the achievement and the implementation of that particular memorandum of understanding. So what the two ministers will be doing in November is basically also looking at all those memorandums of understanding that we have signed, what progress have we made, where are we lacking, what can we do to fast track. Now, the Joint Technical Committee, for an example, is encouraged, is always encouraging the private sector entities to be involved in the tourism industry, the memorandum of understanding that we have signed, and to develop a cooperation program relating to sustainable tourism practices between Kenya and South Africa. Because when we grow in our tourism sector, Kenya also grows. When Kenya grows, South Africa also grows. The other thing is that the Joint Technical Committee of this memorandum will also organize annual training seminars to exchange the related educational data and findings in the tourism sector, because that's most important, to show that those data, to always check whether we improve or we regressing. The last important also issue, the other two important issues, they will share a new tourism products, particularly in technology, both domestically and international arena, to enhance and promote the tourism sector, because it will just be proper to see us growing also technologically in promoting the tourism sector. Now, they will also facilitate the exchange of information on the statistics in tourism. And lastly, they will encourage, of course, the close cooperation both countries in working together on promoting tourism sector between Kenya and South Africa.
We have come to the end of our show. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your time. Out of your schedule, your tight schedule, you have tried to accommodate us, and we really appreciate. And we have our audience, they have really learned a lot about this beautiful country in South Africa. What is your parting shot?
Thank you, Fabian. I think we will continue working together, South Africa with Kenya, in promoting the two countries in terms of tourism, so that we become strong, both of us. And we welcome this interview because what we have been doing, we've been imparting the knowledge of what is happening in our country to the entire community of the Kenyans and on the continent of Africa, as you will be running this show. Now, perhaps one thing to highlight is the theme of this Heritage Month, September. The theme is celebrating our cultural heritage in a democratic South Africa. Now, maybe you'll ask me what informs this theme. Why do we have crafted this theme like this? Now, the reason why we've crafted this theme like this is that this year we are celebrating 29 years of our anniversary of democratic, as a democratic country. Next year we'll be celebrating 30 years. So we have thought that it would be a good thing to put the two together, the promotion of tourism together and democracy, to form this theme, so that we re-entrench the national, the unity and the nation building through reorganizing the unity of our cultures and heritage in South Africa. So this becomes an important point for us, and the contribution of tourism in this regard, therefore it becomes an interested and the integral part of cultural society coming together, so that we also teach people the cultural tolerance, and we also get all the groups in South Africa to learn and get the experience from different cultures that are there in the country. So it's very important, because it then democratizes the country, and it makes us understand different cultures together and make our country one, becomes what we call a country in diversity. Yes.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Your contribution to this exclusive interview, it has been very insightful to our viewers, audience in this planet. We think we'll continue collaborating with South Africa in different way, and we thank you for this opportunity. So for those guys who want to collaborate with us in future, and also they can book also an interview with us exclusively, there is a number which will be running through down our screen, and you can you can come in as a sponsor, or we collaborate in a different way. So it has been an exciting time for me to have the ambassador of South Africa in this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fabian. It was also a very interesting time for me to meet with you and have this interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Africa, my beautiful continent, we are proud to introduce Fabz TV, the only online African tourism TV. Fabz TV is the good vibes lyrics of African tourism. We want to share the joy that we experience in Africa with the entire world. Some of these include exclusive luxury travel, the pristine nature, wildlife, landscape, deserts, sand dunes, water spots, beaches, exquisite accommodations, and diverse culture. We entice your dream and help realize it through our sister company,
AfriGem Safari.
Host season trips for exclusive luxury travels, and UPSTA for exclusive luxury vacational rental accommodations in Africa and beyond. Africa is magical holiday destination. Fabz TV features a series of reality TV episodes to showcase weekly. Season 1 will comprise of exclusive interviews with our partners in the tourism sector, the county governments, and African embassies. Season 2, interview the African countries through the Ministry of Tourism. We invite the tourism service providers to advertise, collaborate, and sponsor our weekly episode in our YouTube channel. Contact us, Teal, plus 254 79 7690 604 / plus 2547 20310241. Email info@fabztv.co.ke. YouTube channel FABZ TV.